Wow. Hello, and it's good to be with everybody this morning. You know, the last time I presented to a group this large, I think, was in 1990, never. So I wanted to ask your help. What I'm going to ask for you to do, if you wouldn't mind joining me, we're going to do a breathing exercise. You've been sitting here for quite a while, and I'm going to walk you through a breathing exercise just so that we can find a little bit of relief in this moment. So all I'm going to ask you to do is be comfortable in your chair. We're going to breathe in to the count of 3. We're going to hold that breath for 5 and release it for 7. Nice slow in-breath. We're going to hold it, and then we're going to release it. I'll use my hands to kind of track all of us so we do it together. Are you ready? Let's begin. Breathe in. Hold, hold, hold. Release. Again. Feel it. Hold. Release. For me, one last time. Breathe in. Hold. Hold. I don't know if that helped you, but it really helped me. So this morning, I'm going to spend some time with you before lunch. I want to offer you identify a tool. I think it's a really important tool in the Finding Relief for Mental Health Challenges toolbox. One of the things that we do is we provide services to people, as you can imagine, for a variety of reasons. I'm focusing on the mental health challenges of life, and I'm going to show you a number of slides in a minute to go through some of that. But I want to believe that this particular behavioral tool that I'm going to identify for you would also be very relevant and very applicable in the other challenges of our lives. You know, we may have mental health challenges, emotional challenges, but there's also our adult relationships, right? The workplace, maybe it's our finances. It could be some things with children and parents. So many of us are doing elder care now and child care at the same time. So I believe that the tool I'm about to identify for you likely is applicable in all of these areas. Okay. I want to sort of set the table, a little food for thought before we go out and get some food for our belly. The table's going to be set with some fairly important numbers. So if you look at the leading cause of disability in Canada these days, it says in that particular statement it's a leading cause, but we know it to be the leading cause. The leading cause of disability in the Canadian workplace is mental illness, greater than cancers, greater than the cardiovascular issues that so many feel, greater than accidents and injuries, and greater than the musculoskeletal issues that people go through. This is an issue that is very important to, I would say, and affects all of us, right? If we look at the statistics, it talks to us of being the chance of having a mental illness in any given year, 1 in 5. I don't know how many people are in the room, but 1 in 5 is the statistic of one of us having a mental health issue in any given year. The chances of having a mental illness or a substance use disorder in our lives, 1 in 3. So 30-some% of us. And you know, for me, it's a real show-stopping statistic, the last one on that particular slide, where it talks to us of the Canadians who have or have had a mental illness by the age of 40. That's 1 in 2. Now, having said that, that's half of us. But many of us have families, and if it's not us, it could very well be someone that we care deeply for. There's very few people, if any of us, where mental health has not touched our lives. I want to take this into the context of the workplace. So what this is about is that we know that our best research tells us that between 5 and 10% of the employees in any given workplace will be manifesting serious, progressed issues in either a mental health or an addiction way. So that's between 5 and 10%. So this is a later stage, right? We're kind of trying to white knuckle through the issues that we're facing. Many of us are doing the best we can, but many of us are also being kind of overtaken by the issues that we're dealing with. In addition to that, there's another 10 or 15% of us who are really experiencing lower levels of these things, but they're progressive. And for me, that would mean that they're simply on the earlier sort of part of the trajectory. If you could imagine a curve, and it's a curve down, we're up here, and maybe between 10 and 15% of the people are still in an early stage where we'd want to intervene as fast as we can. So there's something happening here. What it is ain't entirely clear. That sounds like a Buffalo Springfield song. The idea now, though, would be that we have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, what happens if we don't attend to these issues? Many of us are. I have to stop for a minute and give credit to all of you who are, and many people who are actually taking charge and working to find the relief they need. But many of us are trying to white knuckle through our experience. We're a little like the Chinese acrobats. You know those Chinese acrobats that they spin plates on sticks? And we're busy trying to keep those plates on our sticks, running back and forth. But what happens if someone throws us another plate, right? What happens if life throws us another curve? So the question I'm going to ask you now relates to something you might have some familiarity with. If you have a mechanical problem, maybe at work, maybe there's a mechanical issue at home, and we do nothing about it, what might be the result of that? I'm going to invite you just to think about that for a minute. I don't know if you've had experience with this, but I know I have. I remember my fence in 2015, where I let it go for a while, and then the wind came in 2016, and I woke up one morning and the whole fence was over in the backyard. It was just because I hadn't gotten to it when I really needed to. It's one thing to have a mechanical issue, right, folks? But what if it's a mental health or an addiction issue? What if we're experiencing a challenge in that way? What is the risk of doing nothing? What is the opportunity cost? What's missed if we don't look after things sooner than later? Well, I also have a video. I've got a video of a couple of fellows I've invited to come along to talk to you about the risk of doing nothing. Both of these fellows work for the Fram oil filter company. I wonder how many of you will remember these two guys. Jonathan?
When an engine needs a rebuild, I bring it to Joe.
That's me.
And you know what he's rebuilding a lot more of these days?
4-cylinder engines.
Small engines work a lot harder than big engines, so if you have a small car, it's even more important to take care of it right. Change the oil regularly, and put in a new Fram oil filter when you're supposed to. A Fram filter doesn't cost much.
I do.
But the choice is yours. You can pay me now.
Or pay me later.
Does anybody else remember that commercial? Or am I the only one? I think it was back in the 80s sometime. I apologize for the video quality. It looks like those two guys were, I think, talking to us from an Alberta snowstorm. One of the things about this particular messaging that I want to bring home to you is that things generally don't fix themselves. So the problem that we really need to face, I believe, the opportunity actually that we need to consider is that we're not asking for help. So the specific behavior that I want to bring is this notion of asking for help. You know, it seems very simple. I think it is simple, but it's not easy. Asking for help is our ticket. What is it in our lives, maybe in your life, that you could maybe just ask someone for help about? Is it an emotional need, or maybe it's something else? We know that a problem shared is a problem halved. So it's not easy to ask for help. We know that it's not easy to do that, but we need to get the support as well, right? So one of the things I want to bring to you now are what is it exactly that are barriers to us asking for help? Why are we holding back? Many of us do ask for help, but many of us are also holding back, right? We're doing our very best to cope with situations that are just too difficult. So I'd like us to go through this particular slide together. Here are some of the barriers to entry. These are some of the samples that we go through that kind of keep us from asking for help. We may think that things aren't bad enough to seek help, right? We may say to ourselves, I think I can handle this. I've got this, right? Other people are worse off than I am. I think I'm in a good place. So we kind of say to ourselves some things that really hold us back. We may think the problem will go away by itself. This is a famous one, that if I just wait long enough, I'm going through a spell, I'm going through a period of time, I think I'll be fine in a while. But what we know in the work we do is that early intervention is always better than late intervention. If we can get to things sooner, Fram oil filter guys, rather than later, the success of treatment goes up, and beyond that, you don't have to suffer as long. The third point, I'm going to sort of bring your attention to the third point, and that is that we can become embarrassed or maybe afraid to ask for help. You know, it's that whole idea of stigma. That there's some kind of stigma to asking for help. I better not appear to be weak. I better not appear to be vulnerable. I best just hold on to my stuff and sort of struggle in silence. If I had my way, the notion of stigma would be banished from the face of the earth. Right? We know this, that the research is telling us that we are getting less and less, there's less and less stigma really affecting people. More and more people are approaching help because the awareness level is going up. There's a greater awareness of the mental health issues of our life. Some of us may think that we should be able to cope without help, right? There's a number of people I know that will say, I can handle this on my own. Or I'll work on my own intimacy, I'll work on intimacy problems, but I'm going to do that all by myself. These are the sort of things that people really can't do by themselves. It's kind of self-sufficiency gone wrong. Another issue might be not knowing where to find the help or how to ask for the help, or thinking that the help is too expensive. It's as if to say, I don't have time to take care of myself. That's sort of the messaging that we're telling ourselves and maybe others. Having said that, there are some significant benefits to asking for help sooner than later. The first one of these is that we get perspectives or we get strategies where we can learn to cope. We might not have thought of certain things that can come to us when we ask for help. We'll gain perspective, but we'll also hopefully, according to the Fram oil filter guys, prevent things from getting worse. Stress or overwhelm will be reduced. And there's a great relief about sharing our thoughts and feelings. Today I'm with another counselor, Diane Trapp, and the two of us are at a table in the back or in the front, and please come by and say hello to us. And we've heard from many people already about just the benefit of asking for help, talking about our issues of life. Holding things inside is not the way to go. Asking for help can help us reduce our sense of loneliness. When we start to struggle, we may choose to bring it inside and keep it inside. We may find ourselves trying to hold on to things on our own, which further causes us to isolate. We may withdraw, right? We go inside. And so by engaging and asking for help, we reconnect with people. We reconnect with ourselves. Asking for help can also allow me or bring me stronger relationships with people who care about me, with friends and with family. I become more open with people by asking for help. I do show myself to be open and willing to get the help. There's an honesty and a relatability there as well. So, the last one on this slide would be to do with becoming better equipped to help others in need. What often happens when someone asks for help and finds the relief they're looking for, is they become conduits, right? They share their own strength, their own hope, and their own experience, and it benefits the lives of others. And finally, I'm going to go through a few things here. One of the things people will ask us in our offices, or even before they get there, is where can I find some help? Well, here are a few examples of that. I just want to get you kick-started in the thoughts around this. Some of these you may be aware of already. One, for instance, is the program I work in. It's the Employee Family Assistance Program. But the first few there, the first three relate to really portals or gateways to a continuum of care, a continuum of healing and help. And these are sources of help. The BC Health Link line, the 811 line, if we phone or connect to that line, we have access to dietitians, right? We can go online and have access to exercise specialists. There's a great wealth of information and help available to us. Also, we would recommend thinking more about the professionals of our lives. Counselors that are there, treatment centers, and so on. These are the folks that can bring you care. So, just to wrap up, I want to thank you all for your attention and for your involvement in the day. I wish you the very best today. And if we can be helpful, come by and talk to us. We get ready to go to work every day. We put our boots on so that we can help people find relief for their mental health challenges. Just to be clear, it's not just our boots. We also wear pants and shirts. And thank you very much for your attention, guys. Yeah.